Okay, it's another beautiful Monday afternoon in the capital city of Nigeria and seat of government. The program is The Conversation. Yes, you know, that program that analyzes issues, contemporary issues, issues that are burning, issues that are the front burners of national discourse. Yes, that's what we do here. We analyze, we look at the issues, we discuss, analyze, and then prefer solutions, you know, from this side of the divide. My name is SALIHU Ibrahim Kindo. The program is The Conversation. Good afternoon and welcome. Okay, you know how we do this thing. You know, when we start, we always want to go on a short break. When we come back, you will meet my guest. Good afternoon.
This is a people's game. They will be bubbling about this one for weeks and months to come. Let's go! Lights, camera, action. Put your mind on it, looking like the true.
Stay connected. Stay with us. Starting from Yanga and Jolly.
Alright, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, you've not missed anything at all. You know, we're just starting the program. Is The Conversation. You know, that program that discusses national, international, global issues. And then we don't just discuss, we don't just analyze, we also try to prefer solutions, or we also give, you know, suggestions as to how some of these issues can be resolved. Okay, the week on the review. A lot has been happening all over the country and globally too. The drama in Rivers State, the unending crisis in Rivers State, it is one after the other. You know, just when we're hoping that everybody is just saying, okay, Rivers State is at peace, you know, the governor is there and he's working with his political godfather and everybody, then you hear another story again that will just take you off balance. That is what is happening in Rivers State now. I mean, if you are abreast with what is happening in Nigeria, you will know that the House of Assembly in Rivers State have commenced their process of impeaching the executive governor of Rivers State. To think that all of them belong to, you know, APC is something that I really can't understand. But we'll talk about that. Again, we also know that the federal government has said they're thinking of selling national assets. Yes, they're looking at about 189 billion. You know, something they would use, that kind of money is what they are looking at to see how they can, you know, cushion the effect of the shortfall in the national budget. That's the budget for 2026. That if they sell national asset, money from the national asset will be used to execute everything they have in the budget for 2026. But again, you know, that thing that unifies us, it is not politics that unites Nigeria. It's not religion, it's not tribe, it's not marriages that unite Nigeria. The one thing that unites Nigeria, that will make you hug your friends, foes and enemies, is the thing that is giving us joy right now. At least, you know, for the first time, you know, we're not palming 2 from 3 or palm 2 from 4. You know, to say, well, if you do this, if this one plays with this and they lose, Nigeria will qualify. You know, the way it is now, if there's anything that is giving Nigerians joy now, is that thing they call football, and that is AFCON. So all these are the things that we're going to be discussing today. I'm not alone in the studios. Jonas Agu is in the studios with me. Jonas, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kindo. Well, I heard you trying to run through the things that happen, and It's been an exciting week.
Yeah.
Super Eagles, yes. For those of us who are followers of the Premiership, of course, Arsenal managed their way through and then made it through the FA Cup competition. You know, and I'm also happy that the minister is back. He's in Abuja. Government workers are back. In fact, when I drove out on, was it Friday or Thursday last week, and the traffic on the Kubwa, you know, road was heavy. I just said, we are back.
Oh yeah.
Back from the east, from the north.
Nice.
The celebration is over. Because during the Christmas period, the roads were deserted. People were just home resting. So we are in for a busy week. And we do hope that a lot will happen that would make life much better for all of us in the Federal Capital Territory and Nigeria.
Well, you know, people say, well, January appears to be the longest month.
Because it's longer. It's a very long month.
We're back to reality.
We are back to reality.
We mentioned this thing, you know, and we said, look, you know, why the rush? People go home, you know, you come back and you forget that, well, you're going home for Christmas, you're going home for New Year and everything, and then you go and spend all the money at home, and then you come back and your face splits. Reality, stark reality, because you know that for those of us that will have to pay house rent, you now know that you're going to pay house rent, and you know how very inhuman, you know, landlords can.
Don't let them get offended and jack up rent again. Just you know, they are very wonderful people.
These wonderful people that you can't understand. Not that the guy has done anything to enhance
nothing.
You know, the house. It's not as if he renovated the house. It's not as if he was increased. You know, anything, nothing.
Same structure.
Same structure, everything, and then not that they give you notice last year. No. The guy just comes back and then the caretaker gives you a bill and he says they've increased the thing, and sometimes it's always either 100% or more than You pay 1.6 million and they tell you to pay 2.6 million. And I'm wondering, where is somebody going to get that money from, you know, to pay? You know? So but then, that's why I tell people most times, if it is not absolutely necessary, if it is not life and death, you know, why do you want to travel? If you don't prepare very well to go home, then there's no point traveling, because you go home and then you come back and you're faced with reality. You have to pay house rent. Okay, you're not even paying house rent, of course. School fees and the rest of them. You have kids in the university, and then you have some in secondary school and some in primary school, and the kindergartens. And you know the thing with these children, they won't tell you that, you know, the school uniform is torn, or they didn't come back with their houseware,
until the day they are resuming.
Until the day they are resuming, or 2 days to when they are resuming. Then they will tell you, Daddy, my compound wear, you know, I didn't see it. And you're like, you spent 1 month at home doing nothing, just watching cartoons and doing what is it now that you expect me? And then you start thinking, you know, and unfortunately the pressure is always on you, the dad or the mom. But that's just by the way. Okay, Jordan's just said something. The week under review has been very, very interesting. You know, really, really interesting. And River State, Port Harcourt was again in the news. In the news for very interesting reasons, you know. I really don't know what is happening in that state. I really don't know what is happening in that state. You know, members of the House of Assembly are not very happy with the governor. It appears the governor is not carrying them along, or they are not working in unison. Why would people who are members of the same political party,
working for the same state, the interest of the people of River State, and working for the president? Because, you know, the thing is, they all agree. You know, members of the House of Assembly are saying, look, on your mandate we stand, and the governor is saying, on your mandate we stand, which means, you know, they're all worshiping the same idol, so to speak. They're worshiping the same idol, or the same, you know, they believe that, well,
they have one principle, all right, and they're working to ensure that they return their principle. So if they're working to ensure that they return their principle, what is it that can be resolved? What is the thing? I see a lot of ego there. I see a lot of betrayal and all that. Julius, what is your take?
Well, let me remind you that some years back, I had the honor or privilege to have worked in Port Harcourt.
Yes.
As the zonal commanding officer who was then supervising Rivers, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa State. Incidentally, then, the current minister, FCT, was the governor of the state.
Okay.
And each time you wake up to see one story or the other, you ask yourself, where's the divide between personal interest and governance? Because we had to navigate from the emergency rule that was declared by the president, that was meant to be an instrument to ensure that the sanity we survived 6 months of that, and thought that 6 months was more than enough for us to have sat down to do a review of where we had gone wrong, or the proper structure to put in place to ensure that governance is smooth. We came up, and unfortunately it's as if the 6 months emergency rule meant nothing. Because that's my reading. And then you ask yourself suddenly, when did this issue of the governor not playing according to the books, according to the constitution, when did it suddenly come? And even, like you rightly said, we all belong to the same political party. Now, if there are issues in contention, one would expect that you go within the party structure, iron this issue, so that you don't come back and then every other day it's about Rivers State, this versus that. I thought that would have been the approach. But unfortunately, that was not adopted. It's as if we're still dealing with the River State house that belongs to one party and the governor belonging to another party, but we are all under the same structure. Now, when are we going to shield our sword and then learn to say, let peace reign in this state? Even if you are working towards the good of the APC and the president, one respect for the respect you have for the president and the party, all of these unnecessary tussle will be buried somewhere. Now, what has happened? We set out on a journey. We knew very well that if the party does not intervene, Mr. President would come in to say, no, enough is enough. And today, there's more like a stalemate. We don't know whether impeachment is still going to come up someday or not. But I just feel that for the good of the people of the state and the political gladiators, that we should bury this power tussle and face governance properly.
I agree with you, because I just think that they are all assets. You know, the governor is an asset to the state, and then the former governor is also an asset to the state.
That's true.
And he is actually a leader. That is it, because whether we like it or not, it's obvious that he actually brought the governor. You know, and sometimes, and I know very well that. So I've seen a lot of clips where it was said, you know, godfatherism should have no place in politics and things like that. But even then, you know, it is expected that, you know, if you ride on the back of somebody, you don't bite the fingers that actually feed you. You don't climb, you know, the stairs. You don't climb up and then you remove the ladder. I don't think that is that's proper. And I know that River State also are blessed with some elders. You know, Odili is there, His Excellency, former Governor Odili is there, and then you have a lot of very distinguished personalities from Rivers. I think the time has come for, you know, those people to come together. You know, those days, Rivers was a place that we call the Garden City. It was a place that everybody would want to go because it was a beautiful city, and it's still a beautiful city.
But right now, there's no garden in that city.
There's no garden in the city, of course, because, you know, it's one. They're just in the news for the wrong reason. And I think if these people can come together and just know that, you know, in all this thing, we are forgetting the X factor. And the X factor is the God factor.
Yeah.
God might just decide that, no, guys, I'm tired of you, and then he'll give you. In fact, I don't know why people don't think about that. Do politicians ever think about death?
Let me just interrupt you. Something happened a couple of days ago. I got a chat on my phone.
Yes.
And the person was like, "Boss, it is me. Happy New Year. I need 1,000 naira." He said, "I need 1K. I said, "Compliment, how are you?" I wasn't sure if it was the person I knew before. We grew up together. And then he came up with a second chat. "Boss, it is me. XYZ's junior brother." I said, "You asked me for 1K. He said, "Boss, I'm in the hospital. I need 1K to feed."
Oh dear.
You know, I was shaking. I was like, "No, it can't be this my friend that will say he's looking for 1,000 naira to feed in the hospital." And he said, "I know everybody's going through one issue or the other. I don't want to stress you. All I need is 1,000 naira to get something to eat while in the hospital."
Oh dear.
Because you raised an issue that do we realize there's a God?
Yes.
Do we realize there's a God?
That is it.
Who can just say, "Look, enough is enough.
That's just it.
Come home this night or come home tomorrow morning."
That's just it.
Because when you were talking, I remember this common saying, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar." And I thought, can the governor give to his former boss or godfather what is due to his godfather? Godfather give to your son what is due.
So the things you do,
And there'll be peace. There'll be peace.
Well, I just think that, the gladiators should think about the people.
Yeah.
Let's leave ego, let's leave personal interest, and think about the people.
Yeah.
Because, whatever it is that we're going through today, we're just surviving or we're existing at the mercy of God Almighty. Yeah. If he decides that, "Man, I've had enough of you," that's the end. Yeah. All the assets that you are amassing, all the money that you're keeping, the power, the whatever it is that you're exhibiting, vanity. That's the end. Yeah. But again, people should always remember you for something. Yeah. People shouldn't remember you for somebody who has brought pains to them. Yeah. They shouldn't remember you for somebody who has brought untold hardship. Yeah. Because whether we like it or not, we have children. Yeah. And yes, you might say, "Okay, well, this is me and this is it. You go tomorrow, they look at your children. What are you leaving behind?
Yeah. What legacy are
you leaving behind? Because people will look at your children and say, "Your parents were the problem, were the cause of the problem that we had so period." I don't think anybody wants to hear that. So I appealing to the gladiators, the political gladiators in River State to come together to say, because whether you like it or not, you must always have a leader.
That's true.
That is the truth.
That's true.
You must have a leader. It's either the person is older than you, or the person is more educated, or the person has more wisdom or something. You must have a leader. You can't say, "Okay, I'm governor, I don't have a leader." Yes, you can be the leader of the party, but then is it possible to say, "Okay, well, I still have people that I defer to." Right? So you must have somebody that you defer to. That's the way it is. So that at least people can enjoy Rivers, enjoy there's so much money in that state, that you can enjoy the state, give the people dividends of democracy and all that. That for us is our take on the issue of River State.
Let peace reign.
Let peace reign. Let peace reign. And let's always remember something, that there's the X factor, the God factor. And God might decide to take anybody's life at any time. What are you going to tell God when you get there, face to face? So let's always think about that. Let's leave ego, let's leave whatever it is, and then just make the people happy. That's all. All right. The federal government is considering selling some of our national assets. We don't know which ones now. Some of our national assets, and the idea is to see how they can use part of the money to also ensure that the 2026 budget, where we have shortfalls, goes smoothly. Now the question is, which national assets are they going to sell? Who are the people that will buy this national asset? Now, what is the process? You know, how are they going to sell this national assets? I remember, it's not the first time that, you know, the country is selling national assets.
It's not.
You know, during Obasanjo's time as president, you know, they sold a lot of our national assets, and the rest is history. We know how some of those things went. And the question again that we'll be asking is, why is it so difficult for government to run government state-owned assets?
Yeah.
Look at what happened. I know in the early 70s, 80s, we had the Nigerian Airways. If a country like Kenya, South Africa, Ethiopia, and the rest of them, Rwanda will have a national carrier. Functional national carrier. You're going to, today you're going to China, or you're going to America, or you're going to the UK. Oh, somebody's telling you, okay, you can't fly this, okay, why not fly Ethiopian airline? And the money is not coming to Nigeria. It's going straight to Ethiopia. You're going to Kenya. They say, okay, no, there's a Kenyan airline. And as a people, we don't have, with all the resources we have, both human and material resources that we have, we cannot operate an airline. It has to be an individual that will say, okay, well, let me rescue Nigeria. We tried something, and, you know, they came with one, they said it was Air Nigeria.
Don't go there. don't just go
and
there.
Then,
yes.
That is, that scandal is something. Jonas, your take on the sale of national assets?
Well, when I read about it this morning, it was more like a mixed feeling. Should I be happy? Yes, Mr. President has every right to want to sell some of our assets, to raise money, to run the country. And I was wondering, I said, okay, we run down Nigerian Airways. Nothing has been heard about what happened. And then you mentioned the come and see American wonder of the Nigerian air. Yeah, because that was pure magic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that we did. And up till date, we are yet to be told these are the gladiators that were involved in this magical moves. We are yet to hear. I mean, the story is the same for other national assets, where we set them up, they're not properly run. What we get are corrupt reports, corruption, inefficiency, and nobody is brought to book. And mine is, yes, go ahead and sell. You can't be stopped as government. But before we do that, can we identify the players who were responsible for running down those assets? Because if we don't do that, it's more. So I feel that it's not just enough to say sell off those assets. But if there are people that should be held accountable, they should be held accountable
for running down those
agencies.
I agree with you, because I mean, to think that today we're celebrating Dangote and the Dangote refinery.
Yes.
But before Dangote refinery, we had refineries.
That's true.
The Kaduna refinery.
Yes.
We had the Port Harcourt refinery.
Yes.
The Warri refinery.
Yes.
And so much money was expended on the turnaround maintenance.
So much money.
Oh, they'll tell you they've spent these billions on turnaround maintenance, and then they give us time. They tell us, oh, okay, we're just raising our hopes. Oh, okay, well, in the next 2 months or 3 months, you have fuel all over the place, and then the price of petrol will come down, diesel will come down, and the rest of them, all right? And then years after, we're still back to square one. We have not moved at all. It's all movement, motion, and no movement. You know, and now we're saying we'll sell all these assets, and you're asking, who are the people that will buy these assets? Yeah. And the most painful aspect of this thing is this, what we get to learn much later is that it's the same people in governments that will use proxies to buy these assets. All right, and then they run this thing efficiently. It's like, you go to, there are schools, and by the time you look at the people, the owners of schools in this country, you see that there are people who have actually worked in government, all right, who were in a position to make public schools very functional. They kill public schools, and then they just go and then build their schools, build universities, and so many things.
And run them efficiently. So look, I think what it boils down is the fact that deliberately as a country,
yes,
we have navigated from, we talked about parenting, and we brought out the issue of discipline as a critical factor why today some of us, we are not among the touts and the bad boys on the streets. So the man works for government, run the agency, and then he's not sacked, he's not dismissed, he's not charged to court, he steals all the money possible, moves away from that agency when it collapses, sets up a parallel organization.
Oh yes.
And runs it efficiently. So that's why I said, look, fine, let's thank God we have these assets to sell. If we had not, we'll be thinking about how to borrow more money. We have the assets. But you mentioned the issue of our refinery.
Yes.
Do you recall the number of times we talked about turnaround maintenance?
Oh dear.
Several.
Nobody wants to talk about that.
And anytime you hear about turnaround maintenance, be sure that's
in billions.
In billions, and nothing will come out of it.
Nothing.
So if tomorrow government says, okay, I think since Dangote is doing well, he's a part of Nigeria, part of Africa, we should sell our refineries. What then will happen to the billions pumped into the refinery?
For the turnaround and maintenance.
For turnaround maintenance.
Yes.
The people responsible, what then would we say to such people?
The most painful aspect of this thing, Jonas, is the fact that, no consequences for action.
No consequence.
So what happens usually is, the man steals so much money, and then he goes build schools, hospitals, hotels, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
You don't hear factories.
Yeah.
You don't hear factories.
No factories.
It is hotels,
schools,
filling stations, and schools.
Yeah.
No factories.
Yeah.
All right.
Luxury apartments.
Estates.
Yes.
That's where we always launder the money.
Yeah.
All right. And then something happens, and then probably he's in the bad books of the government. He's probably trying to challenge government. They pick him up, and then before you know what is happening, they expose him, and then after a while the man repents, and then he goes back.
Yeah.
He takes those things. Yeah. Now, I'll give you an example. Again, another big thing in the news. The former Attorney General of the Federation. How many assets? About 59 or 58 assets. A university? I'm trying to understand, he's a senior advocate. You understand? And I'm saying, okay, let's even assume that the man's, what do you call it, consultation fee?
Yeah, make some good money somewhere.
Yes, he makes some good money somewhere, yeah. Consultation fee is how much? Say maybe 10 million. To even see him is 10 million. University, secondary school, hotels, apartments, and all that. And this thing was actually acquired within a space of the period that he was in government.
Can I just pause you?
Please.
Do we declare assets when we're in government?
Oh yes, we declare assets.
We do.
Yes, we do.
And all these assets we declare?
Oh, how? And that's why, sometimes people look at us and they say, look, this country is a joke. Well, that is it's because, again, it's still in court, so it's not something that we're going to talk about. He's actually on bail now. But again, he's on bail, and then another issue just came up. Another issue, money in pounds and dollars, just came up. And today I was also reading in the news that the late Abacha also getting some money from, I didn't know that we could get money from our ancestors.
Well, I just pray that more of such monies will come into Nigeria.
That money is coming in, they just got some money, and that one is coming in, and now the problem is, I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried about what will happen to the money, because you can't loot a looted, money, because that is what happened. We had monies that came into the country, Abacha's loot, this person, and we keep demonizing Abacha, and then people are relooting the money. That is what is happening.
That's true.
Now, one heavy money is coming, $9.something million is coming into the country. You're right? I just hope that we'll be able to use this money efficiently. But again, on a very pleasant note, and that is the one that we are talking about. That is the one that every Nigeria, somehow, Super Eagles, they have a way of, Super Eagles, they have a way of making us forget about our problems temporarily.
Temporarily.
Yes. They have a way of making us forget our problems.
Because their success right now is a distraction from Rivers.
It is
and all that issue.
It is a distraction.
And all that issue. But let me I haven't told you that I played football once.
Yes.
Wait. Please. I regret going to school. Look, I don't know why I went to school. Look, when I was in England, I want to say to you, I played in my primary secondary school, played at Unilag, but then I had to jump between theater and football. Yes. And I don't know whether to say now that, let me not use the wrong word. And I told them, no, I'm more committed to acting, I'm more committed to it. I have a degree. Today, God, bros, maybe now I have said to you, look, I'm taking you and the family on a vacation. I'm building you an estate for playing football.
How much these guys earn a week?
Don't mention it. Don't mention it.
So congratulations. Thank you very much. Super Eagles, we're extremely proud of you. Nigerians, we're proud of you. And we're solidly behind you. Thank you very much for making us happy. Thank you very much for, making us forget some of the problems that we're facing, despite all the crises and whatever it is that we're facing as a people. The Super Eagles still make us smile, they make us happy. We thank you so very much, and we look forward to your victory. Morocco, no, forget the crowd.
Is the cup we're carrying?
We want the
trophy. Bring the trophy back home.
I know the crowd is heavy. Yes. I know you are going to be playing against the whole country.
Like someone analyzed this morning.
Yes.
The referee, the team, and the whole country.
We're playing against the whole country, the referee and everybody.
But because God's on our side.
God is on our side, and we know that you will not let us down. He's always been there for us. It's on this note that we round off today's episode of The Conversation. We thank you very much for investing your precious time with us. Jonas.
Well, I think my best way to say is to do a prayer and wish our wonderful Super Eagles the very best. Come Wednesday, we are moving to the final, and then we're coming back home with the trophy.
Thank you very much. I also pray that we have lasting peace in Rivers State. I love that state. It's the garden state.
Yes.
Is the garden city. I love the city. We are praying that the minister the governor is his man. Is his boy.
Yes.
I just pray that honorable minister of the city will call the man and say, look, come, let's make Rivers State great again. Thank you for watching.